What's up, guys? It's me, Tiff, and it has been a wild month in crypto. We literally just wrapped up Sam Bankman-Fried's criminal trial earlier this month, but on Tuesday, CZ, the founder of the world's largest crypto exchange, Binance, or as Janet Yellen calls it, Binance, stepped down as CEO yesterday and pled guilty to violating criminal U.S. anti-money laundering guidelines. CZ has agreed to pay a personal criminal fine of $50 million, and Binance has agreed to pay $4.3 billion with a B in fines and penalties, one of the largest in U.S. history. Up until now, CZ has been pretty dismissive about allegations towards himself or Binance. He'd usually respond to them with a 4, which is CZ slang for ignoring fake news, FUD, and attacks. But it looks like it's not just FUD anymore. Today we're gonna go over what CZ and Binance have pled guilty to, whether or not Binance will actually survive this, and last but not least, will CZ go to jail? So let's get into it. On Tuesday, CZ entered his guilty plea in a Seattle federal court, and he also reached a deal with the US government. The government claimed that CZ and his company Binance basically turned a blind eye to legal obligations in pursuit of profit. Court filings described CZ's efforts to evade laws, such as portions of the U.S. Bank Secrecy Act, which require financial institutions to learn their customers' true identities, or basically to KYC. The Bank Secrecy Act also requires that financial institutions avoid doing business with criminals or people barred from economic sanctions and register U.S.-based businesses with regulators. All of which Binance apparently did not do. The government claimed that Binance enabled hundreds of millions of dollars in transactions between American customers and users subject to U.S. sanctions, such as customers in Iran, Cuba, and Syria, and also claimed that Binance accommodated criminals across the world who used Binance to move stolen funds. Binance also apparently failed to report suspicious transactions involving terrorist groups like Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. At a conference in Washington yesterday, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stated that Binance was allowing illicit actors to transact freely, supporting activities from child sex abuse to illegal narcotics to terrorism. In fact, according to the government, one Binance compliance employee wrote in a chat, "Is washing drug money too hard these days? Come to Binance, we got cake for you." Additionally, even after June 2019, when Binance publicly announced it would no longer serve U.S. customers on Binance.com and would launch a separate U.S. exchange, Binance US, Binance apparently continued to allow its most important high-volume users to remain on the unregistered Binance.com exchange and encouraged these high-volume users to conceal their U.S. connections. Apparently, CZ acknowledged that Binance.com still had U.S. customers and wrote in a September 2019 chat, "It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission." But notably, and as CZ has made sure to point out, these government agencies do not allege that Binance misappropriated user funds and do not allege that Binance engaged in market manipulation. As we'll discuss in a moment, CZ did reach a deal with the government on Tuesday, and while this deal settles civil allegations made by the DOJ, the Treasury Department, and the CFTC, some people have pointed out that the deal announced on Tuesday does not include a settlement with the SEC, which sued Binance and CZ in June this year and alleged they violated U.S. investor protection laws. My journalist friend Leo Shorts at Fortune noted that the SEC complaint against Binance was full of allegations of commingling, echoing what happened at FTX. Those are absent from the DOJ complaint, which does not include fraud-related charges. The SEC notably did not sign on to the joint settlement agreement. So I personally don't know if that means that the SEC's allegations turned out not to be true, or if they were just dropped, or if there's more drama to come in the future. But I do remember the SEC's allegations being much more damning. Anyway, as part of Binance's deal with the other government agencies, they've agreed to pay penalties totaling $4.3 billion. This is one of the largest corporate penalties in US history. On top of that, CZ agreed to pay a personal criminal fine of $50 million, but please note that CZ has an estimated net worth of $23.5 billion according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. So this is basically just a drop in the bucket for him. CZ also had to step down as CEO of Binance and wrote on X, "Admittedly, it was not easy to let go emotionally, but I know it is the right thing to do. I made mistakes and I must take responsibility. This is best for our community, for Binance, and for myself." He also announced the new CEO, Richard Tang, Binance's former global head of regional markets. Additionally, as part of Binance's deal with the government, Binance agreed to be subjected to increased scrutiny for 5 years through a third-party monitor overseen by FinCEN, who will ensure Binance's complete exit from the United States. Failure to live up to these obligations could expose Binance to additional penalties of up to $150 million. CZ will be barred from any involvement in Binance until 3 years after the monitor is appointed. So technically, CZ could come back in the future, and he also gets to keep his majority stake in Binance. But apparently this deal ends a years-long investigation into Binance. Will Binance survive all of this? Well, CZ founded Binance in 2017 and turned it into the largest crypto exchange in the world. After FTX's collapse last year, Binance's market share only grew because FTX was one of its main competitors. It seems that Binance will have to leave the United States entirely, which is bound to hurt their business. But with FTX out of the picture, I don't think they have a serious global competitor right now. A director at Coinbase did tweet, "I backed out Binance Corporate's crypto holdings from their proof of reserves. $6.35 billion of total assets, $3.19 billion in stablecoins. This doesn't include off-chain cash balances or funds held in wallets not in proof of reserves. They are most likely able to pay the full $4.3 billion in DOJ fines with zero crypto asset sales." One issue, though, is that this is based on Binance's proof of reserves, so obviously if you don't trust Binance, then I don't know if you trust this. And also, proof of reserves do not include liabilities. In December last year, after FTX's collapse, CZ was asked whether or not Binance had an additional $2.1 billion to repay potential FTX clawbacks. He was kinda cagey and evasive in his response.
Would you be able to handle it if somebody asked you for $2.1 billion back? Would that be okay? Would you be able to still withstand things?
We're financially okay.
Including you have $2.1 billion to give away. If somebody came to claw that back, you'd still be fine?
We'll let the lawyers handle it. We are financially strong.
You know, the $500 million that you guys spent on Twitter, where did that money come from? Are you confident in that? Or do you have additional money? And the reason I ask these questions is, again, you guys aren't FTX, but FTX was making a lot of investments in other places that turned out to be customers' money. Where did you guys get the money for the $500 million investment in Twitter?
We don't use customers' money. We have revenue. Our revenue comes from trading fees, and we have very solid revenue. We do not spend on crazy advertisements. We're okay. And we paid the Twitter investment already in cash. Was done. It was not customer money. That I can guarantee you.
CZ was adamant that Binance does not use customer funds, and again, the DOJ allegations do not accuse Binance of misappropriating customer funds. But again, if you don't believe CZ and think he's just another SPF, then obviously this doesn't mean much. CZ also claimed that Binance does not have any debts,
liabilities, etc. Very simply, Binance does not owe people money. Binance does not have loans from other companies, from other funds. We just don't have it. You can ask any fund in the ecosystem. You can ask any VC. We actually also do not have VC investments, so we don't owe anybody any money, and we also do not have loans to other people that we depend on for our next payroll. So we are very simple, very self-contained type of organization.
So I guess it comes down to how much you actually believe CZ or not. So hopefully Binance has enough money to pay that $4.3 billion without using any customer funds. They are, again, the largest exchange in the world, and it seems like they're able to pretty much print money. So far, the majority of people I've spoken to in the crypto space about this think that Binance is going to be just fine. A lot of people actually think that this is bullish for crypto because a lot of crypto folks thought that Binance collapsing would be sort of a black swan event, and now it seems like that event is behind us. I'm personally not a crypto evangelist. I hold crypto skeptically. I don't actually think that Binance is about to implode anytime soon, but I personally would caution anyone that has crypto in Binance to probably move it into cold storage just to be safe. I've actually also even asked Sam Bankman-Fried during some of my house arrest interviews if he thought Binance was solvent. And keep in mind, Sam and CZ fucking hate each other, and Sam has full incentive to want to shit on CZ, but every time I've asked Sam if he thinks that Binance is solvent, he's said that he thinks they're fully solvent. He has said that there are a lot of other sketchy things that Binance has done in the past. I could maybe make a different video on that if anyone's curious, I guess. But Sam has always said that they pretty much print money and make a ton of money and that he would be very surprised if they were insolvent. Being solvent obviously doesn't mean that a company has $4.3 billion to spare, but it is somewhat promising, I guess. I very much hope they're not having to dip into customer funds to pay that $4.3 billion. But lastly, the question on everyone's mind is, will CZ go to jail? According to Bloomberg, CZ faces a maximum sentence of 10 years and more fines up to $500,000 plus any profits he made from the alleged scheme. His lawyers said on Tuesday that his sentencing will be delayed by 6 months. CZ has also agreed to waive his right to appeal any sentence below 18 months, according to Judge Brian Chishida. Apparently, sources at the Justice Department told the New York Times on Tuesday that the agency will seek an 18-month sentence for CZ. However, there's no guarantee that CZ will actually end up seeing the inside of a prison cell. In similar past criminal cases involving crypto and money laundering, where prosecutors pushed for a substantial prison sentence, those requests have been rebuffed. Last year, for example, in a case with a lot of similarities to CZ's, former BitMEX CEO Arthur Hayes pled guilty to violating the Bank Secrecy Act, which CZ also pled guilty to. When probation officers recommended no prison time and 2 years probation for Arthur Hayes, based in part on Arthur's lack of a criminal record, prosecutors pushed back, proposing a multi-year prison sentence for Arthur Hayes. The judge ultimately ignored prosecutors' requests, and Arthur Hayes was sentenced to 6 months on house arrest and 2 years of probation. I've also heard that his house arrest was pretty cushy in some big house in Miami, Florida, so seems like it wasn't too bad for him. Obviously, sentencing is completely up to the judge's discretion, and Arthur Hayes could have just gotten really lucky with his judge. But if we want to draw some comparisons, like Arthur Hayes, CZ also has no prior criminal record. Both pled guilty to violating the Bank Secrecy Act. Both agreed to personally pay a fine. Granted, Arthur Hayes only had to pay $10 million and CZ had to pay $50 million. But it is probably the closest comparison we can find, so CZ could potentially expect a similar arrangement to Arthur's. So his sentence might involve some combination of house arrest and probation, so it's entirely possible that CZ doesn't actually see the inside of a jail cell. However, CZ is obviously a much bigger fish than Arthur Hayes. Binance is literally the world's largest crypto exchange. So maybe if the judge just really wants to set an example, maybe CZ could really see some prison time. But either way, 18 months really doesn't sound that bad, especially if you stack it up next to what SBF is facing, which is up to 115 years in prison. Honestly, I kind of feel like CZ would just fare much better in prison than someone like Sam Bankman-Fried would in the first place. CZ seems a little bit less nerdy, a little bit less vegan. I don't know, just things I don't think jive well with prison. Anyway, my conclusion is that I think CZ is going to be just fine. I will continue following this story. I'm even considering maybe flying to Seattle to attend CZ's next court hearing. Although honestly, since he pled guilty and we're not going to see an actual trial, it's not going to be nearly as interesting as Sam Bankman-Fried's, but I'm considering it. I will also be flying to New York to attend Sam Bankman-Fried's tentative second criminal trial, as well as his sentencing hearing. And additionally, we'll be covering Alex Mashinsky's criminal trial in September 2024. I'm also going to cover other things on here, but if you're interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe to me. I'm also very active on Twitter at TiffanyFong with 1_ and on Substack at tiffanyfong.substack.com. Let me know if there are any other videos you want me to make or any other things you want me to talk about, but that's on my docket. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Aura. Aura is a data security and identity theft protection company that protects you from scammers and hackers by scanning the web and the dark web for your sensitive information, like your passwords, phone number, home address, etc., and alerts you immediately if it finds anything and automatically requests removal for you. Aura's actually found a ton of my personal information leaked out there on the internet, like my home address, my phone number, and my passwords, and they automatically alerted me and successfully removed a lot of that for me. So I actually pay for a monthly Aura subscription, but they're actually offering my followers a 2-week free trial at aura.com/Tiffany or using this handy little QR code right here. I personally think it's totally worth a try, even if just to check and see if any of your sensitive information has been leaked out there on the internet so that you can try to get it removed. You can obviously cancel at any time if you don't like it, but again, I love Aura and thank you so much for sponsoring my video. Anyway, I love you all so very much and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye!
This is the richest guy in the world from crypto, and you don't even know him.
Hi, my name is CZ.
He made over $60 billion, but his mom still called him stupid. Let me tell you his incredible story.
Were you shocked that it got so big?
Yes, I was.
CZ is just a normal guy. He was born in China, grew up in Vancouver, Canada, and now lives in Dubai. But his incredible story starts at a poker table in 2013.
Binance, 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 Binance's, Binance, 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 Binance's, Binance.